While we're just waiting for Luke to sort of sharing out, welcome everybody. Thank you for coming. It's good to see you all, or see some of you, but see initials elsewhere. Really appreciate you giving up your time this evening to have a quick look at the concussion tracker. Just as a bit of background, the tracker's been live for about 3 months now. It's been used over 1,000 times by rugby clubs, so we know it's getting used effectively, or at least used a lot by clubs, which is great. Obviously, a great addition to the suite of reporting options on Proactive, and yeah, really good to see so many people using it. And it is evolving, should I say, as we go along, as things always do on Proactive. So it's really good to be able to share what we've done so far, but also get some feedback from users and also answer any questions around the actual concussion tracker. So, Luke, do you want me to take over? I don't think we need to wait any longer. Hopefully everybody is on board. So, format for this evening, I'm just going to run through a really brief presentation around the concussion tracker, highlight some of the key features of it, identify and show you where it's come from and how it was developed, and then give you a very quick live demo of it in use on a demo dashboard, so that you can see how easy it is to log a concussion and start the process, and also show you a couple of the emails that you may not have seen that automatically go out from the system to the participant or their parent. So I'll run through that, and then at the end of the session, as Luke said, there'll be a chance to ask any questions. So, you know, we've got some time at the end to allow for that. So I'll start sharing. Okay, always good at this point to check that people can actually see my screen, because I did one of these, I don't know, I can't remember which CB it was for, but I started talking for about 25 minutes and no one actually told me that they couldn't see the screen. So, Luke, if you can verbally tell me you can see the screen, that'd be amazing.
I've got it. Head case concussion tracker.
Awesome. Okay, I'm going to minimize you all, just because it's easier for you to see, and I'm sure Luke will sort of be a bit of an admin to the process as we go along. So let's move on.
Just got a hand up from someone, Dom. If they want
to
on. Oh, it's gone down now. Carry on.
Okie doke. So the concussion tracker, as with all of the things that's on the Rugby Safe version of Proactive, were designed in partnership with the England Rugby Safe team. So Rachel Full-Brown at RFU head office and her team, including Chrissy, and it was also checked over quite rigorously by Simon Kemp, who's the Chief Medical Officer. And it's designed to support coaches and participants on their return to play following the concussion. And it follows the new Rugby Safe head case guidance. So the guidance was updated following the release of the UK Grassroots Concussion Guidance, which was delivered by DCMS and the Sport and Recreation Alliance. And as a result, the concussion tracker was developed on the new head case resources. It provides simple advice and guidance for when a concussion is flagged by a coach. It has automated notifications at each stage of recovery. So, for example, after 2 weeks, there is a notification around returning to full contact training with accompanying guidance for all parties. There is a unique shareable link for each participant who is traveling through the tracker. And there's an easy to follow club dashboard as well. So you at the club level can see all the players on concussion tracker, what stage they're at, etc. Very basically, this is how it works. You log the incident on proactive if it hasn't already been logged. You start the tracker working, and then that kicks in some automations within the system. So that includes information to the player or their parent, depending on their age, on what to do next. And it includes their tracker link that they can share. You get to follow the progress on the dashboard, and the player and parents get updates and information automatically all the way through their return to play. So all of the stages have been determined by the head case resources, and obviously working with Rachel and Simon on what notifications go out when and to whom and how, so that there's a nice consistent flow through the tracker. Just some key features, and I'll run through these live as well, so I won't dwell too long on these. The club dashboard, the concussion tracker log gives you an easy to follow concussion dashboard. All the players going through the concussion return to activity and sport can be monitored from this dashboard. The unique shareable journey link, which is a really exciting part of the tracker, allows parents and players to easily track their journey back to activity. It links to guidance and support, so it has direct links to the head case resources. It automatically updates each day, and it's designed to be easily shared with other organisations. So schools, for example, other sports clubs, etc. Emails and texts come out from the system. So these are automated, and there's a whole sort of process in the background, what we call a cron, that runs every single hour, that basically sends out the automated emails and text messages to people going through the graduated return. And that includes links and resources, all the stage diagrams, etc., all again related to head case. Okay. This is where I trip myself up by being in big screen. So on the on Proactive, obviously we're working here on the web version, the desktop version. Exciting news is that there is a native app on its way, currently in production. We've just had the original version of Proactive released onto the app stores, so we hope that in the next few weeks there will be the Rugby Safe version as well, which will obviously make it even more mobile friendly for your staff on the ground.
John,
But tonight,
can I just jump in here for 10 seconds? I had a couple of people today that still might be using the wrong link when they log in. If you log in and you're seeing a black dashboard, that is the non-rugby version. So I'll put in the chat now the link to the correct version, which should and will look like Dom's with a white background when you check in.
Yeah, and on that point, just to let you know that the black version and the rugby version are very similar. They work in very much the same way, but the rugby version has had all of the question sets basically run through by the Rugby Safe team, and also some minor tweaks to how the questions work, and also the links to the Injured Players Foundation, the AGP clubs and the AGP pitches, which are now on there as well. So there are slight differences, but if you do fall onto the black version, it should still work effectively for you. But this is the Rugby Safe version. So the concussion tracker is a separate module. There's a separate button on the screen, and you simply click onto the concussion tracker. And what it allows you to do is either link to an existing incident. So on here, you can see there's one that was done on the 2nd of December, or you can add an incident yourself at that point. So you have to link it to a group. I use Melbourne for the example, and it asks for the date of the incident, time, venue, specific location, the activity, the participant casualty name, and importantly, the date of birth. Now, this is a streamlined version of the full incident report, but it's a quick and easy way to add someone to the tracker if the incident hasn't already been logged. On the drop-down list of incidents, you can only select an incident that is up to 5 days old. So the reason for that is that we consulted with Rachel and the team at RugbySafe. They identified that if someone has had a concussion, if it hasn't been kind of logged and actioned within 5 days, it's probably a little bit late. So as long as you've recorded it within 5 days, or you add it as an incident at that point, you can start them on the concussion tracker. So let's use this one here. The next box down is the concussion signs and symptoms, again generated from the head case resources. And this here, you can basically scroll down and select as many of the different signs and symptoms as you want to. So let's put 3 in there just for now. There's a couple of duplicated ones in there which has come from the head case resources. Then you put the player or parent name in. So let's put mine in. Email address. Below in there. Oh, that help. A bit early for that. And the mobile telephone number. So look away now. And then you simply press the start the concussion tracker. That will process and it will say successfully saved. Then when you go back to the dashboard, so this is our test dashboard, you scroll down past the instance hazards and pre-session checks and you see your concussion tracker log here. And you'll see that I have started the concussion at that point. And you can see here you've got the participant and where it was, contact details, the date of the incident, when they were added to the protocol, and what day it is since the concussion. So you might normally expect that to be day 1, but because the incident happened on the 2nd of December, they are in theory already on day 2 of the tracker. You can click into these at any point, and it gives you a brief overview of that participant and where they're at on the tracker. So it gives you the start date, what day they are on the grass, where it happened, what their name was, what the signs and symptoms were. But then it also gives them their unique tracker link, which is what is designed to be shared with other organisations, and a nice visual here of their individual journey through the tracker. You can click on that link at any point, and that will show you what they will see when they open that link. But you can also look at it from here. Some new information or some new things that have been added in the last month or so based on feedback is the ability for a club to manually move someone through the tracker. Now this is designed if the participant does not engage with the tracker themselves. There are going to be instances where someone either doesn't want to follow the tracker, doesn't want to receive emails, and therefore is restricted on how far they can get through the stages on the tracker. So we've introduced the manual progression to allow people to be moved by an admin after 25 days. Now, it's been set as 25 days by England Rugby because they want people to interact with the tracker as much as possible, and they don't want it to become a sort of state route for coaches to move people to the end of the tracker before they're ready to. So that's that one there. If I just go back to the dashboard, actually, let's just show you one of. We can do that now with an old concussion. So let's pick, let's go to page 2. So if you pick a concussion here that's obviously they've not interacted with the concussion tracker, so they're stuck at stage 4 on the actual dashboard. So I can click into their tracker. I can see they're at stage 4. I have the option here to say if they're symptom free, yes or no, but I also have the option to manually progress them to stage 6. So I press that button, they immediately go to stage 6, and that helps tidy up your dashboard a little bit. But what it does do also is it puts this little stamp on here so that there is some responsibility laid at the person who is manually progressing them. So it date stamps and actually identifies who's moved them through the tracker. So that is a tracker, really simple to use. Just to show you what the recipient gets. So here we've got the first 2 emails that get sent out automatically. They are quite long because they give a lot of information, especially the first one. It tells them all about the graduated return to activity at sport. It gives them links to the head case toolkit. It gives them their unique tracker link, and it gives them some information about how they share that with other organisations. Now that is designed to be shared by the participant or their parent themselves. It's not designed to be shared by the club. That's for data protection reasons. But if you have an agreement in place with local schools that's signed by the club, then you may be allowed to share that information straight on. That link can be opened at any time, can be shared via WhatsApp, message, so that they can share that across as they need to. And then there's, as you'd expect, disclaimers from the RFU and Proactive. And there's no option at this point to get a way out of this email because it has to be sent from the system. But from stage 1 onwards, so this is what they get each stage. It gives them some key information, some more links again, some nice visuals related to the head case resources. But it also allows them to withdraw from receiving the messages. So when they do that, that obviously prevents them moving past stage 4. This is the overall journey for the class tracker. So this is a bit of a visual guide to when emails and text messages are sent out from the system. And you'll see here that at day 14 and again at day 20.5, the participant or their parent receives an email with a backup text to say that they need to answer a question related to symptoms. So that is the 14-day symptom check. At that point, they answer a question based on their symptoms at rest. If they answer yes, they've had 14 days clear of symptoms at rest, it moves them on to stage 5. But if they answer no, in as much that they are still going through that concussion, there's been a delay, they're still having serious symptoms, they can delay that move to stage 5 for initially up to 7 days, but it allows them to set to receive the same question again anywhere between 2 and 7 days. If they get to the end of another 7 days and they still have ongoing symptoms, they can delay for up to another 7 days again. So that is where it becomes more personalized for the player or the parent to monitor their progress back. That again happens at day 20.5. On the normal journey, obviously, if they've delayed at day 14, then that next symptom question is pushed back, and that basically identifies when they're ready to return. So they answer yes to that question, and it turns them to green, and they're up and running. Just some of the key questions that we've been asked that we thought we'd sort of jump in and answer before we got asked them again this evening. You can only link to an incident recorded in the previous 5 days or to a new incident added at the same time as the tracker is activated. So that's what I just mentioned a little while ago. The questions at day 14.
Dom, just to jump in because we have had a question relates precisely to that. If you start it on day 2, 3, 4, or 5, it's set from that day. You can't backdate it. And is that right? What's the thinking?
It's set from the date of the incident, so you can set the incident date. So if you add the incident later, you can set when the incident happened. So you know, you might already be on day 3, and it's become evident that they need to be on the grass tracker. Should be able to set it back to start from that one. What happens there is if you start a few days in, it obviously prompts quite a few emails from the system. It doesn't miss those emails because it's important that they have those emails sent through, but it will batch them together. So they might receive stage 1, 2, and 3 pretty much one after the other, an hour apart, just so that they've got them and they know what should have happened within those first few days. Again, a lot of this was set by the Rugby Safe team, so we've kind of caveated ourselves to this is what we've been asked to do a little bit. So some of the questions that may get raised this evening will be ones I'll have to take back to the Rugby Safe team. The day 14 and day 20.5 allows for the delay of the tracker up to 7 days, but then a further 7 days up to another 7 days. So as long as it needs to be delayed for, and now they can be manually progressed for, after 25 days, which we've mentioned already. And the final one, obviously, the player's unique link should only really be shared by the player or their parent, unless the club can get consent to do so directly. So I know that there are some CBs, I think Hampshire is one of them, that has an agreement in place with local schools that allows them to share information around injuries, etc., through to those schools.
Dom, can I ask a quick question around that?
You certainly can.
If you've got a consent arrangement, how does having that a consent arrangement, does that mean you can pick up that link and send it out?
If you've got that in place, yeah. I mean, we try not to get involved in individual clubs and counties arrangements with schools, because we're told not to by the Rugby Safe team, as you'd expect, as you well know. So, but yeah, I mean, basically, this is replacing what you were previously doing, isn't it? In effect, in terms of letting schools know that concussion is ongoing. Obviously, with that link, they're able to open it throughout that return to play and see
the information that you showed on the screen that anybody else sees when they click on that link. That's the person at the school sees that.
Yeah, the only thing they see. Sorry, I'll go back to the.
Sorry.
No, that's fine.
We have got that arrangement, but I didn't know we were allowed to use that link yet. So I haven't done as yet, but we're at an exciting stage on our county website where that would be incredibly helpful to our RSLs.
Excellent. So yeah, I mean, this is the link. This is an example of the link that gets sent. So it is a bit streamlined in terms of what the information is. This is obviously, it would have the person's name, not test participant. But it gives them the stage they're at. It obviously has the grass day that they're on, so that automatically updates according to the individual on a daily basis. So it's done hourly, so it's not. So if it was Monday, it doesn't happen necessarily at Tuesday, all at the same time with everyone on the tracker. It's determined by the individual start time. So at 9:30, that would update to 3 days. It gives them the basic signs and symptoms, but then it gives the documentation and the head case toolkit. So it just gives them some links. So really basic information, but really useful that they can open at any point to see where they're at on that journey.
Obviously, and the person at the school who gets that link, would they get all of the stage notifications, or they would just get what was the stage notification that was at the time that they clicked on the link?
They just get the link, and that's all that they opened. So as long as they keep hold of that link, they can open it at any point and can basically see where that player is on their return. So they wouldn't get the emails, but they get the link.
So it would require a sort of a covering email, basically. A covering email to say, exactly, absolutely. To explain what it was. Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much, Luke.
No problem at all. So I've covered everything on the presentation because I didn't want it to be too long, and I wanted to show really how quick and easy it is to add people to the concussion tracker. So I'll just stop sharing my screen and just kind of open the floor if there's any questions. I can always jump back in to share again if there are any questions. Luke, do you want to play?
Yeah, in the chat, Kerry's got a couple of questions, one of which is, who has responsibility for manually updating the checker in the club? Presuming it's not the parent doing it, is it the coach who's head of first aid or the first aiders?
So that's really down to individual clubs. So the manual progression is only available to group admins and company admins, as you'd expect. So if it's, for example, an age group lead, they could potentially move them forward, manually progress them. or if it's the lead first aider who might be company admin because they're seeing everything, they could manually progress them as well after 25 days. The ideal scenario, and the one that happens in 99 times out of 100, is that the parent or participant themselves is moving themselves through those stages based on the symptoms questions that they get at day 14 and day 20.5. Right.
Getting some hands up, Dom. Can you see those?
Yeah, I want to do it in an orderly way, but
they do order it. So I think number 1. I can't see.
Oh, okay. J Mosley. You want to take yourself off mute if you're able to, and then I can answer your question.
Oh, yeah, it's Jay Mosley. What is
Hi,
it all
Jay.
about? I raised my hand a while ago because you was just checking if I can see your screen.
Oh, awesome.
Opening clams for pearls.
Super. Okay. So should we jump to Andy?
Can you hear me?
Yes, Andy. Are you allowed to
hi,
hear?
nice to meet you, Dom. I'm lead medic for Jersey Rugby Club, minis and juniors, and the senior and women's team. Nice to meet you. Just a couple of things. Is there ever going to be an edit option? Because there's been a few people who have added reports and then realised they need to change something, and obviously there's no actually other way of doing that at the moment. Yeah,
absolutely. There's a few things in the development pipeline that we're kind of ironing out. We've just moved on to a new system which has enabled us to kind of look back at the system and go, right, these are things we'd really like to improve and change, and editing, permanently deleting users, those sort of things that have been historically part of the system but really annoying from an admin perspective, are all things that we're trying to iron out over the period. In addition, adding multiple email addresses to the tracker so that if a player's got guardians who are separated, or that being able to notify both of them rather than just one would be useful to have as well. So there's quite a few things in the pipeline that we just
because we've got some. After we do like a first aid course, I normally ask them to like try and do a test patient sort of thing,
and you want to do
and then my screen's like test, and it's But yeah, no, that's great. And the second one is regarding the concussion tracker. So obviously it goes to the parents, the coaches, and everything. There's been a few occasions where I've had a player who, after say day 8, 9, potentially 10, has then suffered reoccurrence of symptoms and would be placed on hold. But in line, according to the concussion tracker, they're getting emails saying you now can progress to stage so and so, whereas I'm sending emails saying, hang on a minute, we're going to put a hold on this. Let's review in 48 hours and then we can progress. Yet I find some of them are turning up to training and say, well, hang on a minute, I've had an email from the concussion tracker saying I'm on stage 5. And I'm like, well, hang on a minute, you're on stage 3, 4, as per email. And there's no way of actually sort of like pausing it.
Yeah, again, it was one of those ones where when we consulted with Simon at England Rugby and Rachel, the symptom questions were obviously set to be at day 14 and day 20.5 because they were the kind of logical points to have them. But having gone through, obviously we learn things as we're going along in terms of when, what we could do to make it better and make it more flexible. That sort of move from stage 3 to stage 4, where there's some more active, going from pretty much sedentary to active, it might be a place where we add in another one of those symptom questions, or the ability to pause at that point for 2, 3, 4, 5 days.
Yeah,
I probably regret saying it, but almost anything is possible.
Yeah.
But it's a case of working out based on feedback what those helpful things would be, and then going back to England Rugby and basically working those out. It's useful to us because we've got we're doing the tracker for football, and ironically the UK concussion guidelines that the organisation that wrote those is actually going to be using the tracker as well, so it will get pushed out across sport. So rugby's been a bit of a guinea pig, but that's probably because you're streets ahead of most other sports. So learning those things and having that pause opportunity, whether that be led by the participant or the coach, is definitely something we're looking at.
Yeah, because at the moment, what I'm finding we're having to do is I'm literally my notes of if I've got a player who has delayed, I just put everything in the notes at the moment because there doesn't appear to be any way to pause it. So if there's been any change to any process, I'll literally just state anything in the notes why it's been delayed.
Cool, that makes sense.
Thank you very much, Dom.
Yeah, no, it'll be a case of watch this space, but we will obviously communicate any changes as they happen, so that you've got that. But appreciate that, Andy. Thank you. Claudia, voice slip. Or should we go to Michelle? Sorry, Michelle, shall we go?
Thank you.
Your numbers keep changing.
Do they? So interestingly, Dom, I've just done some audit work amongst our clubs in Hampshire. Some of the questions were around their use of the tracker and proactive. And out of the 43 clubs that we audited, I've had 16 responses. So 16 different clubs have made the point exactly that Andy has just made to you from Jersey just now about absolutely understand why you can't reduce it. But there are many, many cases, I won't take up your time on here, but many cases where the people actively managing the brain rehab in that respect and the return to play have had cause to want to slightly delay the week 2 or week 3, not just because they've got some more symptoms, but for example, with historic intel that's that person's second, third concussion, or that person's got a particular set of symptoms that have raised some issues, red flag type issues, where you would want stage 1 to be prolonged, for example, and their return to not be till week 4 or something like that. And it would be 16 different clubs have given me specific instances where that would have been well, certainly wholly appropriate to extend, and then the difficulty they have managing the conflict between the messages they're getting from the tracker, which they take as gospel, of course, and the messages that the physio or lead first aider are trying to deliver to that particular player to manage their return to play. So it would be really welcomed by a lot of our clubs to be able to have a bit of a pause, or as Andy called it, a hold facility on the tracker, that where you could just delay the next message going out by however many days or whatever that you thought, based on, you know, because the people that know their players best are obviously those that are responsible for their well-being. So that was going to be one of my feedback that I brought to the meeting on behalf of all my RSLs in Hampshire. So thank you, Andy, and many of the others who I know have had the same feedback. And just one other odd thing, if you want specific details, I could ping me an email afterwards and I can show you some of the stuff. It's very interesting. On the where you put the symptoms in when you were going through the tracker, is there a box that says other for things that aren't particularly listed, for some of the more unusual symptoms that come up that are reported to us anecdotally by players and parents and so on, that aren't necessarily, you know, on that list of symptoms to tick off? There an other box?
There isn't currently.
That would be really helpful,
purely because
as well.
that was led by the head case guidance. So there's obviously not that free text other option, but it's a good idea, and I couldn't foresee it being a major drama adding that in as a free text option to do.
That would be very helpful when we're following up multiple concussions as well, that we can look back and see if there were any other symptoms that are similar.
That's excellent. Yeah, no worries. As I say to Andy, with the having 16 responses, if you are able to share that, Michelle, that makes it a lot easier for me to go back to Rachel and Simon and say, look, this is how you wanted it rolling out in the first instance, and it's working, and it's being used, and it's effective in the majority of cases. However, clubs are coming back saying, can we do X, Y, and Z? And that's the beauty of having nearly 500 clubs using it, is that it becomes quite a strong voice to go back and get things done. So yeah, absolutely, we can.
I'll send it to.
We can go back with that feedback, definitely.
Just on that, Dom, I think what Michelle is saying regarding the secondary concussion, I've had 2 instances this year where I've actually logged it as an instant log rather than a concussion tracker, because if a player does have a secondary impact after an initial concussion within, say, a month, I'll send it. They'll have to go through me for a checkup, and then I would send them to their doctor. So there's a bit of a process before we can even start looking in. So I would tend to, with the secondary impacts, log it more as an incident, because I know the concussion tracker, the days almost need to be doubled. So, but they'd have to go to their doctor before the process would start, and also when the process would end. So I think there's other stages that we would need to implement when we do a secondary surveillance.
Cool.
So just adding that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Claudia, I know you're having some issues with your microphone, but if you have a go, see if you can ask your question.
It's in the chat, Dom, so I can read it out.
Yeah, I've seen it now. Thank you. So in terms of when the concussion is logged, obviously, I mean, I try not to get too involved in the medical side of things, because obviously we're just the tool that's providing the service. So in terms of when you log a concussion, really, that again, I think it's down to the club themselves. However, the big slogan on the generic version is, if in doubt, sit them out. So I would probably refer to that, and I expect the head case resources are similar. If it's a suspected concussion, they should be put on the tracker. But obviously there is that flexibility within the system to give it a day or so, or give it a couple of days to sort of really work through whether that is, whether they need to go on or not. So without getting too scientific or medical, which isn't my place, that's the kind of messaging is on there around the if in doubt, sit them out. So that's cool. Thank you, Claudia. Joanne.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, Joanne, go ahead.
I'm brand new to all this, so I'm sorry if this question is going to bore everyone, but the concussion tracker and then injury tracker, is that combined? Is that all on the app, or is this concussion tracker like literally the only thing on that tool, and we've got a different something else we should be using for other injuries?
No, it's all on the same proactive system. So so you get instant reporting, the concussion tracker, which obviously links into instant reporting, dynamic risk assessments of hazards, which admittedly is not used a massive amount in rugby, and pre-session checks as well. So you get all of that within the whole package, and they're all modular based, so it's really simple for the users to work through each type of report and go through.
Lovely, thank you.
Okay. Jennifer.
Hi, Jenny Hoff, Rugby Safe and Safeguarding Lead from Malden Rugby Club. Thank you for inviting us along to this tonight. Really, really helpful information. I've managed to log into the Rugby Safe version and I can see all my data, which is fantastic. Are we saying then that I should send that link out to all coaches and first aiders, and they should use the same link now, move across?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the most up to date in the rugby version. So it just has the slight differences to the black version. So yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant. And because we're out on the field where we go home and away all the time, as everyone knows, is there an app for this so that people can actually use it in real time, pitch side, and put everything on in real time?
Yeah, so at the moment it's web-based, so we encourage you to put it on your home screen so it works exactly like an app, but obviously it's still web-based. And then the native app, which is the one that will be downloadable from the Play Store or the Google Store, the ice store is coming very soon. It's literally in production as we speak.
Okay.
So that will allow you offline reporting as well as online, which will be really useful. The caveat to that is, as with everything that's offline, in order for it to actually go through and sort of be reported, there has to be some reception at some point to trigger it sending through. But what it means is that if you're offline and you can start, you can get all the way through to the process of submitting that report so that you've not got to worry about having online capacity to do that. So yeah, really exciting. Our development team actually cracked on with doing that without us knowing, and then surprised us saying, oh, we've got the rugby version ready. We're like, oh, fantastic. Be nice to see it. And then they have to go through the process of getting it for approval for the Apple Store and the Play Store, which is a lot of fun from a technical perspective. If anyone has ever done apps,
it's good to know it's coming. And the last question is just around.
Sorry, just to jump in, I'll put in the chat a link to a video which shows people how to add the current web-based version to their phones. So it does.
That would be really helpful.
Does act as an app, other than the fact you have to be on 4G for it.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. That's really helpful. And I seem to have a couple of duplicates on my concussion tracker log where I need to delete because it looks like it's exactly the same entry twice, and I don't know if that's because it was new to people.
Let us know which ones those are. We have had a couple of instances where normally down to internet lag or something like that. Apparently it has on occasion sent exactly the same information out twice.
Yeah, because the same date and time entry.
Yeah, obviously the whole deletion of users and deletion of reports and everything like that, which is in process of being reviewed, we can do that in the background. So if you let us know which ones are the duplicates, we can always scrub those off the system so it stops any confusion.
Fantastic, Tom.
Just drop us an email.
Just while we're on, just to say that my club chairman has signed up to the CRISP Community Rugby Injury Surveillance and Prevention Project. And if people are on here that don't know about that, it might be worth talking about it because that is now showing on my Rugby Safe version. I have no injuries logged, but just if people don't know about that, they might want to get involved with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I won't spend too much time, but
I can put the link in if you want me to.
Yeah, we worked with Bath University they were struggling with how CRISP was going, really, in terms of how many clubs were participating in CRISP and schools, etc. So we completely rebuilt their CRISP reporting modules into Proactive. So that includes the player consents for the research, but also the match database and the player database, and then all the reporting elements of CRISP. So all of that is done through Proactive now, and it's highly likely that the whole of the CRISP project reporting will actually move to Proactive going forward. So if you are already on CRISP and doing CRISP, then great, it's on Proactive and you can use the Proactive method or the old spreadsheet method that was used previously. But if you're new or thinking about doing CRISP, it's another aspect that's really easy to do on Proactive now. So it is there. And I know there's going to be a big push into next season again for more and more CRISP clubs, but also more and more CRISP schools, because I think the schools' uptake of CRISP has been a bit limited this year. And obviously it's an important part of the research project when schools are reporting rugby incidents. So yeah, we're hopeful that will help kick on the CRISP project and CRISP research a little bit more. Thank you, Jenny. Over to Scott. Thank you for your patience.
No problem. Yeah, Scott from Crewcombe Rugby Club. I think Jennifer hit all my questions there, so thanks, Jennifer. It's just basically around how we get that app on a telephone. Well, maybe like most volunteers, that's something, if I'm not doing it on the pitch side, it's something I'll catch up with later in the day sat on the sofa, and it's handy just to have it on the telephone. But yeah, we'll wait and look forward to the new app, and I'll try the one in the link there, and we'll have a look. But yeah, no, it's great. Thank you very much.
No problem, Scott. Thank you. Michelle, I think you've been promoted to number 1 again.
Sorry, sorry to keep jumping in. Just for Claudia's question, and if anybody else had any problems with it, because it's been brought up in my RSL group as well. The GRAS protocol and also the immediate care guidelines that underpin Regulation 9 for us, for Club Rugby Safe Leeds and all our first aiders, pitchside first aiders in rugby clubs across the country this year. All that information and guidelines, including the governmental guidelines from GRAS, say that once a person is level 3 first aid qualified and has been appointed pitchside, what you're asking them to do is not diagnose a concussion, but to look out for the signs and symptoms. It's very important that our first aiders understand what those signs and symptoms look like, and basically to make a judgment call about whether that person might be concussed or not. And so when you come to the question of, should we wait until it's diagnosed to use the tracker or not, forgive me for saying so, the tracker is a tool at our disposal, and it's a really important and really comprehensive tool at our disposal. But it doesn't mean we are diagnosing a concussion just because we put somebody on a tracker or because we put somebody on a 21-day return protocol. It's our best way of giving the best care we possibly can around our players if we are either sure or there's some appreciable doubt that it might be a concussion. So please, for anybody on or off the call, relay that to your colleagues, that if you're appointed level 3 or above pitchside first aider, seeing signs and symptoms in a player that they are worried about that may relate to concussion, then raise it, put it on proactive, record it as an incident. You can use the tracker if you want to, that's fantastic, but always are on the side of caution if you've seen those signs and symptoms. We're not diagnosing it. The GRAS protocol says if they later go to a hospital and the hospital doctor says, well, I can't see any signs, that actually your judgment as the pitchside qualified first aider still stands because you saw the signs and symptoms at the incident and the doctor may not have done. And that player might be very adept at saying, yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, I'm fine. 24 hours later. But what you saw is very important. I just wanted to advocate that while I've got your audience, Dom. I apologise, but that's really important to know for everybody.
I'll just point out at this stage that Michelle is not on commission for Proactive.
I'm not, but I am a massive
we are not paying for her holidays to wherever she is. So. Yeah, Gareth, thank you for your note in the chat. Yeah, I mean the app, as I say, it's in development, and it will be released as soon as it's ready. But as with all apps, it will have version 1 and 2 and then 3. And I know that the black version, as we call it, has had the approval this morning, was released this morning, and then immediately 5 minutes later had the second version released that was catching up with the first version. So we will keep taking on all of that feedback. You know, we're sort of adapting things based on different countries and different scenarios. So yeah, it's really useful to have those ideas. So thank you. It's always handy when someone calls it a great idea in the chat as well, because it kind of pushes my hand a little bit more. So cool. Jenny, are we back to you?
It was just to say thank you to Michelle for that advice, and I think it's also important to note that we have a safeguarding role as well at our club and every club, but it's often not just the players that try and say they're okay. Sometimes parents do that as well, and we need to be very, very aware of that when we're looking at these injuries as well, and making notes of that and forwarding that to the right people if we need to.
Cool, that's a very good point. Interestingly, concussion in cricket falls squarely in the safeguarding remit. it actually sits in their safeguarding resources rather than, well, I was going to say in their instant reporting procedures, but there is a lack of those. So we'll skim quite quickly over that one. But it sits in their safeguarding section on the website. So it's a good point. Well made. Thank you.
Circling back to conversations I've had today and earlier with the schools, I think that's some of the frustration with communicating with schools, is them not necessarily having the information or having their own idea of what a return to play should look like. So if there is a way, like they've got in Hampshire, of having an agreement you can pass on the link, then it will hopefully, put them in a position where they can't really go a different route, shall we say.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the hands have all dropped. Apart from Luke's.
Just a few from people that
funny man.
Along the way. Back to the question of if it's after 5 days, Dom.
Yeah.
They recognise a concussion. Obviously, you can't add it to an incident. Would you have to create a new incident at that point?
Yeah, you would do. So you would add that new incident, and then that would be immediately available as on the drop down of incidents to log it to. So yeah.
Perfect. And one other thing, at the end of 22 days, once it's been passed by the parents that they're clear of symptoms, and that's showing on your dashboard, you don't need any more notification than that. That's
the admin should also get an email. I have noticed since the cut over to the new system that is not necessarily happening as much as it should do. So there are some automated emails that should be coming out to coaches at certain stages as well. So I am just chasing up the development team who are looking at that. So there is a communication at stage 6 that goes to the admin to say that they have reached stage 6 as well. So not only is it on a dashboard, that you should get an email.
awesome.
Super.
Well, fantastic. I mean, Dom, epic work as always. Thank you, everyone, for your time and input. As Dom said, it means a huge deal to us that people are using it as a tool of choice. It's been a work in progress for 3 years with the RFU to get it to this point, but this really is just the beginning. Without your feedback and energy and enthusiasm, we wouldn't be able to make it even better. So a massive thank you. It really does mean the world to us. And as I said, and Dom reiterated, we will be feeding this back, and the more voices we have saying the same things, the easier it is to persuade the RFU to move quickly. So thanks, everyone. And like I said, I'll put this out as a recording. I'll send it to RSL's, CB RSL's as a link on YouTube, and I'll put it out an email as well. So if anyone wasn't able to attend, they can sit through an hour or so of us chatting through the beauty of the concussion tracker.
Super. Thank you, Luke. Keep up the good work, everyone. Really appreciate it. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.